Let me have the parties identified.
Your Honor, Jim Tyree for the department, and Abigail Cecilia is the caseworker, and I don't see her on the screen yet.
And I'm not sure if my client is signed in yet or not. I just talked to her, but I told her we might be near the end. Let me check.
Cynthia Terso, attorney ad litem.
Belinda Ebeling for the mom. I'm present. I'm looking for her.
Gabby Gutierrez with CASA. I'm not sure if the advocate, Pam and Gillette, are present.
Let's do another case first. Let me have the parties identified.
Your Honor, Jim Tyree for the department, along with, Veronica Ramirez.
All right, Ms. Ramirez, tell me about Justin.
Sorry, Gabby Gutierrez with CASA.
Chrissy
Chan with CASA.
And Cynthia Terso, attorney ad litem for Jocelyn.
Justin is currently placed at Rising Star, a GRO in the Houston area, where he's doing pretty well. He's adjusted well. He goes to school at Houston Heights. He's passing all his classes. He recently got his ID, so he has voiced that he wants to start looking for a part-time job. Medical dental are up to date. He's voiced some interest in martial arts. His case manager at the facility is looking into, getting him into martial arts for fun. He likes to go to the park, play video games. He loves to read books. He's doing fairly well. However, he has voiced recently that he does not feel safe in Houston. He's having a little bit of trouble with bullying with other kids at school, and just Houston, period. He said once he was at a park, 2 kids were messing with him. I asked if he reported it to staff. He said he did. There wasn't really much staff did because these were just random kids, didn't know the name. He has asked to be moved closer to his sister, who he stays in contact with by phone. So I am looking into maybe changing placements. I think it's important that he is close to his sister, as that's the only relative that is actively involved in his life. He has started PALS, Hay Center, and overall he's doing pretty well, Your Honor. That's to stay active.
Did y'all lose me, Casa?
Yes. We also agree with what Veronica has said. We recommend that Justin be moved closer to family as well. I feel like he's struggling where he's at. We recommend that we continue to look for family support and possible placement options for him. We recommend he continue in therapy. And due to health passport showing that he didn't have refills on his prescriptions, there's been kind of some discrepancies with that. We recommend that superior, a nurse or somebody get involved to look at his medications and get a review to make sure he's taking everything that he should be taking with the move. And I think that's what happened. But and then another thing that we recommend is Justin get educated on his medication and what he's taking so that he knows what he's taking since he's getting older.
Okay, I agree with all of that. I'm certainly concerned about this placement. Read Casa's report about a fall down the stairs, and it doesn't sound like they took that very seriously, and that was a very serious medical incident that they didn't even look into. So that's very concerning to me. Probably should be reported on this placement, I would think. Yeah, and if we have medication issues, let's certainly get Justin informed about what he's taking and why, and make him his consenter. I think he's old enough to do that at this point. I saw in one of the reports a placement option of Mr. Moniz, but maybe he doesn't have stable housing at this point, but maybe we could work with that placement option to see if he might be an option in the future if we could help him. But yes, I'm fully supportive of a placement move closer to the relative, especially if they're not paying any attention to medical needs that need to be looked after. Do we have any ongoing medical concerns from that fall?
They do a scan, and everything came back normal. So placement has not reported, any medical ongoing. But I agree with you. It's very important, and I wasn't aware until Casa stepped in, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, concerning, and also the therapy Casa's indicating that the placement says he's in therapy, but Justin says not so much. So all very concerning things that I'm hearing from the placement. So let's definitely change it.
Yes, ma'am.
Just another thing to add, I'm covering for Carrie Peoples, but she mentioned that whenever he fell, his ribs were hurting, but there was no x-ray of his ribs. It was only an MRI for his head that was showing on health passport.
Yeah, let's maybe get him looked at again.
Okay.
And like I said, let's look into reporting this placement. If they're not taking these concerns seriously, that's an issue.
Yes,
It's a
ma'am.
problem. Okay, I will set another review hearing on Justin August the
Jim Tarry for
28th
the
at 9.
department, along with Cristobal Salinas.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Lindsay Murray, attorney for the children.
Okay, tell me about the kiddos. I think I did an adoption on one of the twins recently. I think I might be doing adoption on the other one pretty soon, but tell me where they're placed and how they're doing.
Okay, Your Honor, yes, the adoption was on one, Zephaniah, the 13-year-old, he was adopted on February the 22nd of 2024, and just recently Colton Marriott on April the 21st of 2024. So they are in the forever homes right now. And so we have Kaysen and Bryson still looking to be placed permanently. On Kaysen, Kaysen is currently at Empower Youth Services in Rosenberg, Texas, and Richmond, Texas. She's been there since September the 21st of 2024. Kaysen is struggling. We've just recently, she's already had her second, back on February the 5th, she was in a psychiatric hospital for self-harming. And just recently again, on April the 16th, she was again admitted to the psychiatric hospital for self-harming herself. And so she just barely got discharged yesterday. So she's back at Empower Youth Services and back at school today. She is just struggling, and the reason for her struggle is because she misses her siblings and she does not get to see them as much because of the other 3 siblings are in the Lubbock area. So she's working towards that. We have a possible placement opportunity in Lubbock with a maternal great aunt. We have recently talked to them about a couple of days ago, and so they're interested in possibility of becoming placement with Kaysen. They would like to visit with her, and Kaysen's willing to visit with them and see if that's a possible match. So we're going to work on that.
Do I need to order an expedited home study on this aunt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll order a 10-day home study on the aunt. What is her name?
Her name is Diana. Very couple.
All right, is Kaysen in therapy?
Yes, Your Honor. She's in therapy. She's therapy once a week. She's got a psychiatric therapy and individual therapy.
Do we think maybe the aunt might be willing to participate in some of that therapy to work towards a placement?
Yes, Your Honor. They are very cooperative. They're willing to be a placement, but I think they would be willing to do that.
Great. Okay. Physically, how is she doing? Any sort of medical concerns other than the self-harm?
No medical concerns. She's taken psych meds. She's up to date on that. Medication review has been completed. No health issues. Schools, she's doing well in her grades. She's passing. She's 9th grade. She's involved in choir. And, she's doing good overall in those departments. It's just the separation from her siblings that's causing some kind of friction in her life.
Okay. I suspect maybe she might know about her siblings getting adopted.
Yes,
Maybe
Your Honor.
Maybe that's hurtful too.
Yes, she's aware of that. And they keep in contact. They try calling each other ever so often when she's available or they're available. And she would like to see them in person.
Okay. Can we set up some in-person visits?
No, we tried it. The only one we've had is Bryson, the younger brother, when he was in Houston. He got to see her a month ago, but that's the only one we've had in-person visits.
Right. Ms. Murray, any additional concerns regarding Kaysen?
No additional concerns, Judge.
Okay, Bryson.
Okay. Bryson is back on March the 21st, 2024. He was transferred to the Flyer, which is a fostering youth life ranch in Levelland, Texas. He is there at this time. Bryson is continuing to engage in behavior disruption, verbal aggression, self-harm, which is non-suicidal, with various incidents and reports on him. They're working hard, trying to get him stabilized. So he's going to school there, online classes. He doesn't have to go to a public school. He's passing his classes. He's good on his health. Taking his psych medications for anxiety, ADHD, no hospitalizations. But he participates well in activities of soccer, basketball, and gets to visit with his brothers. They're all, both of them are close by, so he's able to see them at least every other week, where they go visit him at Flyer.
Okay, same thing. He was, I think, present at the adoption for Colton, so I'm sure that that's hurtful too. See siblings getting permanency. What are we doing about permanency for Bryson?
Your Honor, he's in the tier recruitment. It's already been sent out. No possible placements yet, no prospects, but it's already sent out and it's been published.
Okay. Are we working maybe towards at least a foster home placement for Bryson?
At this time, not yet, Your Honor. We've had previous foster home placements. The average he'll last there or 2 weeks, and then pretty much ask for a discharge because of his behaviors.
What kind of therapy is he in?
Individual therapy. He's in individual therapy once a week.
But is it trauma focused? What kind of therapy do they do at Flyer?
Right now, just individual. I'd have to check if it's trauma focused or not.
Ms. Murray?
Sorry, I couldn't get my mute to go off. I don't have any additional concerns, Judge.
Okay. All right, Mr. Tyree, if your office will send me a dismissal on Colton.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I will set another permanency hearing on the other two kids for August the 28th at 9. All right, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll be adjourned. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Your Honor, Jim Tarek for the department, along with Abigail Cecilia.
Yolanda Ebling for the mom, Natalie Castro, and she and I are both on and ready.
Jim Shaw representing the father.
Cynthia Terso, attorney ad litem for the child.
Gabby Gutierrez with CASA. And Pam Lloyd with CASA as well.
Mr. Tyree, what is the status of service on Ms. Castro?
Your Honor, I believe she was served. I don't have that noted in my file, Judge, and I didn't see that till just now. So I believe she was served, but I don't have the date.
What about Mr. Sistrunk?
Your Honor, the same thing, although I will say we received paternity testing back from Mr. Sistrunk 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we just filed yesterday afternoon. I filed you should receive an order, I would think probably today, dismissing him from the case because he was excluded as the father, and then we've pleaded an unknown father at this point.
Okay. We'll come back to all of that. All right, tell me about Navali. Where is she currently placed?
She's placed in health center in a fictive kinship home. She just started daycare last Friday. She has no health concerns and she has no dental concerns.
We have a home study approved on Nikki.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Ms. Terso, any concerns with Navali?
Your Honor, in the report that I got this month, I did see that she was due for a well child exam. So I'd like to make sure that that does get scheduled if it has not already been scheduled. Abigail, I'm not quite sure if it has or it hasn't, but I definitely want to make sure that we're staying on top of her appointments so we can make sure that she is continuing to catch up on those milestones.
Yes, ma'am. I'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
CASA, concerns regarding Nobley?
Pam, do you want to talk? You're on mute.
Trying to figure out how to unmute.
Right now we don't have any concerns. She's doing great in placement, but nothing else to add.
Okay, Ms. Castro, can you unmute yourself? Do you have any concerns regarding the child?
No, ma'am, I don't.
All right, very good. And are you pleased with the current placement?
Yes,
Okay. Do you have any idea who might be the father?
I don't.
All right. Tell me about Ms. Castro's progress in services.
She is ongoing and complying and refraining from any criminal activity. She has a legal source of income. She has appropriate home with a roommate. She schedules visits with Nova weekly and she's ongoing and compliant. For her drug test on 12/1/23, she had a positive UA for amphetamines. The level was 1146. And then she had a methamphetamine as well, greater than 10,000. On 1/25/24, she no-showed a UA. On 2/12/24, she no-showed a UA. On 3/18/24, she had a positive UA for amphetamines. The level was 1593. And then amphetamines, the level was greater than 10,000. She had a hair follicle. It was positive for amphetamines. The level was 2873. And then the methamphetamine level was 38861. And on 4/5/24, she had a no-show UA. She is up to date on all Novalee's medical. As far as therapy, she is seeing a therapist. She did miss a month in January, but has since started going back. She is compliant on face-to-face with permanency specialists monthly. She has not made a follow-up appointment for her medication, and a referral has been made for women's group, but she hasn't initiated services yet for women's group.
Ms. Evelyn?
Yes, Your Honor, I do have a few things. With regard to her employment, she works at Allsup's. She reports that the manager has just recently left. Things are kind of in mess, a little bit of a topsy-turvy situation. Trying to get someone new in, and I think maybe that person has started, but she's working a lot of hours. It's the kind of job when they say come in, they kind of expect her to be there, whether she was scheduled or not. So she has been working a lot of hours, so I give her credit for that. Unless she misunderstands, she reports to me that she was told that she has to have the same job for 6 months. And I've told her that's not true as long as she is consistently employed. If she wants to keep looking for something better, maybe better hours, better pay, that there's nothing wrong with that. But just to be sure that she doesn't quit one job before she has another. As far as the drug testing, she doesn't have transportation, and my understanding is that when she's asked to go for a drug test, she indicates she doesn't have a ride and is told they'll send somebody pretty quickly to do that when she has to work. So we're just asking that the court authorize 24 hours to submit to a drug test when it's requested, because she doesn't have a way to get there on her own. As far as visitation, I think some have been canceled by St. Francis, and they've been good about making that up, adding an hour to a visit here and there. And they are providing transportation for that, and she says there haven't been any problems with that. We need a little bit of clarification on the counseling situation, because the person she's been seeing, I think it's Central Plains or the organization in Plainview, that she's leaving and going to set up her own practice. And we're not exactly sure how that's going to work, if she's going to continue to be able to see her, or what we need to do about that. So that's something that we need to work on with St. Francis to be sure we're all on the same page about that.
Mrs. C, who were you mom set up with as far as a new counselor?
Yes, ma'am, I can get her a new counselor.
And I think sorry, Judge, I think if she's wanting to stay with that counselor, if we can get that information, sometimes we can set up a contract with them and pay for the service. If she's wanting to stay with that counselor, I think it's beneficial. If not, we could definitely look into another counselor.
Okay. We just need to be sure about that, because she wasn't sure what that was going to mean for her sessions.
Yeah, if she gets the information to Abigail, we can send it over to our provider relations team and they can look at what that would look like and if we can get a contract set up with her. We're always looking to have therapists that we can contract out with, so that would be good.
Okay. And as far as women's group, is that something she has to attend in person? Because again, the transportation is an issue. Is that something her therapist can work with her on those issues?
I have offered transportation once we get her in the class. She just needs to call and set up like her first appointment or her first women's group session.
Do we know if the hours that it's offered are compatible? Because sometimes she works until evening.
I'm not sure. I can follow up with her.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think that's it, Your Honor.
Ms. Castro, none of this is going to do any good unless you get off drugs. You're not going to get your job back as long as you are using drugs. Do you understand that, ma'am? I think the first thing you need to do right now is go to inpatient somewhere.
Yeah, I know. I'll talk to Abigail about all of that, and I talked to my therapist, but then that's when she said about, what do you call it? Oh, like doing, like, I guess she's getting out of Central Plains and she's starting like her own. And I've talked to her about that and everything, and we were just waiting to see what she said. But like I said, she just up and like not quit, but she's, I guess starting her own. So she told me to hold on till we figure out like how we could do that, or if I had to find somebody else. But I've already talked to Abigail about all of that.
Okay, I don't think you're hearing me.
And I've already talked to my man. I talked to my old manager about it, but like I said, she quit, and so now I have to talk to like this. They're trying to find a new one, but right now they have somebody like, what is it called? Like, that's not our manager, but he's there basically trying to help us figure everything out. So I'm trying to talk to the area manager to let him know if there's a way that I can like leave for like 30 days or whatever without losing my job or, getting like fired or whatever. So I'm on hold about that too. So, but I've been talking to who I needed to talk to so I can get the help that I need.
Okay. Is the current placement a permanent placement if need be?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
All right. Like I said, Ms. Castro, you need to focus on your sobriety right now. Work, therapy, all of this other stuff. It comes
I've done a change of environment. I've done.
Ma'am, don't interrupt me. You need to listen. You're not going to get your child back if you continue to test positive for drugs. So address that issue first. Everything else comes next. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to set another permanency hearing August the 28th at 9 and a final hearing September the 18th at 9.
Your Honor, I will not be here for the August date. I'm not sure if I can Zoom or not. I might be able to. I don't know.
That's fine.
Can you repeat the final hearing date?
September the 18th at 9. Okay, anything else?
Judge, am I discharged?
For now, but I suspect I'm going to reappoint you for an unknown dad that they're going to serve by publication.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll be adjourned. Thank you.
Your Honor, Jim Tyree for the department along with Kim Shoemake.
Laura Kopp for the child.
All right, Ms. Shoemake, tell me about Colton. He just turned 18 in January.
The previous caseworker that had the case reported that he was living with a friend, and I have reached out to the friend, and the friend he no longer lives there, and I have no working phone number or current address for him.
Okay, do we know if he was interested at all before he turned 18 in signing an extended care agreement or wanting to go into a civil placement or anything like that?
No, ma'am. He expressed that he wanted out of care.
Do we know if he was able to get his GED?
I do not know about the GED. I know he said he didn't want to get his driver's license, so I would assume he didn't want to get his GED either.
Okay, we had some concerns about a possible criminal case that might be charged or might be investigated with respect to Colton. Do we know if he's charged with anything?
No, ma'am, I do not know.
Ms. Cobb, do you have any information whatsoever about Colton?
I don't. I have no way to contact him. He has kind of jumped around a lot this case and stayed with friends, and then by the time, a hearing comes around, he's gone off somewhere else, and eventually we have been able to find him, but I don't have a number that works right now, and he's not where I thought he was.
Okay, I will set another services review hearing August the 28th at 9. Let me have the parties identified. Thank y'all.
Your Honor, Jim Tyree for the department, along with Jason Zoll.
I appreciate that.
Laura Cott for the child.
Okay, tell me about Jenny. It looks like hopefully she's still in the SIO placement at West Texas.
Actually, Your Honor, she has decided to leave West Texas, but she really showed up and made a positive effort and got herself into the Children's Home of Lubbock's SIL program, and then going through South Plains College, and hopefully either from there to go to Texas Tech or back to West Texas, depending on what she decides. So, I mean, she's doing really well. She's due to move there on the 8th after finals at the college. She's had a rough semester, but she's really standing up and taking responsibility for herself, which is exactly what we want these kids to be able to do. With the money issue with her former foster parents, she's decided not to follow up on criminal charges with them or trying to sue because they had over the time from when she was about 16 to 18 got about $26,000 from her. They'd been collecting up her Social Security and borrowing money from her every time she got some sort of funding. She was attempting to bring that up with the Texas Rangers because of the little town they were in and the foster parents' connection to the town and in turn the police. But the foster parents agreed to start paying her back. They've so far paid her back about $1,700, which is not a lot compared to the whole amount, but it is a very good start. And so she, at this moment, is not trying to follow up with suing them or such under her choice, not necessarily advice. And so overall, between that and getting to school and the SIL, her mood is very good. Her outlook is positive. She's doing very well.
Okay, any sort of medical concerns?
No, actually, she's very healthy. Her meds are being effective for her. She's got the usual young adult drama of her age, but nothing unusual as far as any health concerns.
Right, what is she studying?
I think she's going to continue through English and the basics while she's at South Plains, and then she's trying to decide on what direction she wants to go after that point. Some of that played into why she decided to change. She wanted to get the basics out, and she wasn't 100% sure what direction she wanted to go in.
Okay. Does she want to work this summer?
She does want to work this summer. Some of that will be looked at once she gets down there, what kind of positions we can find. But I mean, she's not looking for anything particularly special. She doesn't mind asking if you would like fries with that. So.
Okay, and I think from a note, she has her birth certificate, driver's license, Social Security, and all of that.
Yes. And
Okay.
she's done a very good job of keeping track of those. And like I said, she actually approached the children's home before even talking to myself about it. So she had all the documents, and the paperwork I had to do for her was actually pretty small.
Okay. Ms. Cobb, concerns regarding Jenny?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Tyree? I don't think it should be all on Jenny to go after these foster parents.
Yes,
The
Your Honor.
department is her conservator when this was happening, so the department needs to go after these foster parents.
And that's one of the things that we were looking at, and we needed her, and through counsel, they were said that she needed to initiate the criminal side initially for it. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know why, and that's why she was trying to get.
That's why I asked Mr. Tyree to look into it.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I will, and I will say I was unaware of this until today, so I will definitely look into this.
Yeah, charges need to be filed against these folks if we have proof that they stole from one of our kids. Certainly, they need to face the consequences, and they certainly never need to have another foster care kid in their home again. Okay, anything else on Jenny?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll have another services review hearing August the 28th at 9.
August 20th, yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, Jim Tyree for the department, along with LaShae Pritchard.
Lindsay Murray on behalf of the child.
Laura Kopp for the mother.
Okay, Catherine just turned 18. Tell me about Catherine.
So I was unable to reach Catherine at first. Then I received a phone call from the mother, the biological mother, just acting erratic. We are struggling with getting Catherine to accept assistance. The police have been involved multiple times to this residence. I would say multiple times a week. We are requesting that the child find another placement. It has been offered by trying to get her into the SIL program, but she will not go to school and she will not get a job. So unfortunately, we're unable to. Like I said, the police department has offered different resources as well to get her out immediately. Also, we have Tracy Jackson with Central Plains Center. She's our service coordinator. They also are trying to get Catherine to leave the residence. It's just a very toxic relationship that is just very difficult because we're really having a hard time getting Catherine to get out of the toxic relationship and go create her own life. We are working diligently. But like I said, right now, all of our hands are tied because she's unwilling to accept help from any of the different resources that are available. So yeah, we'll just continue to monitor and see if we can get her to accept some type of assistance.
Okay, did she leave care when she turned 18 and go back to the mom?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Tell me about school. She was in the 11th grade. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been a big struggle. She's actually in school. But I'm talking about she was supposed to be like 15 days. Out of 15 days, she missed 11. I mean, she's not going. And they've tried different resources to get her there. They've even offered driving her to and from school, and she will not go. She would have already graduated if she would have attended. She's just not wanting to attend school or get a job. All she does is stay at home and gets into domestic disputes with her mother.
Okay, but she's in the 11th grade?
Yes, ma'am.
And does the mom live in Plainview?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Health-wise, how are we doing? Are we aware of any sort of medical concerns?
I think we have some mental health concerns, but like I said, she is unwilling to allow anyone to assist with any of those type things. Like I said, Central Plains is concerned because if she does not continue to follow their recommendations, then she will lose her assistance with medical. She refuses to take any of her mental health medication. She is bipolar and she is unwilling to take the medication because she's embarrassed. So we are well aware that she's in a manic place. We are trying to work with her to get her to potentially go to a mental health hospital so that she could get back on her meds and be monitored while she's on them, because all of us feel right now that she is unwilling to even hear what resources we're offering just due to the manic state.
Ms. Murray?
Your Honor, I mean, I have the same concerns. I did go visit Catherine at the home. I was not allowed in the home. You know, it took a while to get it set up with mom. You know, mom told me it took a while to have mom, I guess, admit that she was mom and the child was living with her. I did have concerns when meeting with her, with regard to mental health and that as well.
Ms. Kopp, anything on behalf of mom?
No, Judge.
Okay, well, she's 18 now. I don't know, Mr. Tyree, how you folks fare with guardianships and commitments and that sort of thing in Hale County. We don't have a whole lot of luck with that in Lubbock County, so I don't know what y'all do about that sort of situation, but it sounds like if we're having multiple police call outs to the home on a weekly basis, maybe there's some other legal avenue to get her the help she needs besides a CPS case.
She also, I want to add this, Judge, I'm sorry. She also requested the intake number from me so that she could call an intake on her mother for her younger sibling. So I did give her that contact information. Like I said, I mean, I personally have tried so many different avenues to get her out. She's threatening her mother to take the kids, and it's a huge deal. Obviously, she's not able to take the kids, but it's just a mess. And so any assistance or anything that anyone else has guidance wise, please let me know, because I would love to help her, but right now we're losing to her mental health. So
yeah, Mr. Tyree, I would say if Hale County has another legal option or avenue, I think it would be appropriate. Not a whole lot we can do for her in the CPS case anymore unless they're willing to accept help.
I'll see if there's anything else, Judge. I don't know how much luck I have, but I'll check into it.
thank you.
I will set another review hearing August the 28th at 9.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Let me have the parties identify.
Your Honor, Jim Tyree for the department along with Chelsea Boscus.
Sarah Hudman, attorney for mom.
Cynthia Terso, attorney for the child.
All right, tell me how Ms. Martinez is doing in services.
She's completed all of her services. She finished the family centered treatment program yesterday. She continues to test negative on her drug tests. She continues to meet with her recovery coach and do the NA meetings. So as of right now, she's done everything that we've asked of her.
And made the changes she needed to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good.
She's worked really hard. I'm sorry. She's worked really hard during this case, and she's made tremendous progress. So
very, very good. Ms. Edmond, anything to add on behalf of Ms. Martinez?
No, she's I'm super proud of her. I think she's ready to fly solo now.
Ms. Terso, any concerns regarding little Jasper?
No, Your Honor, I'm very happy that mom did everything we've asked her to do.
All right, Ms. Martinez, it looks like maybe we're ready for a dismissal. I'm going to dismiss your case. Very proud of your progress in the case. It's been a long road, but I think that you have done very well and really utilized the services like you needed to. It's nice to see when the program works and we're able to turn lives around. That's the whole point of this course. So thank you for all the work you've done, and I wish you the best of luck. You're on mute, but I think you said thank you.
Thank you so much. So sorry.
Don't thank me. Thank your team here. It sounds like they did a very good job.
Yes, they did. So thank all y'all.
Okay. All right. No more hearings. The case is dismissed.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. We'll be adjourned. The department versus Megan Vasquez. Let me have the parties identified.
Your Honor, Jim Tyree for the department along with Chelsea Boscus.
Lindsay Murray, attorney for the mother, who is also present and ready.
Cynthia Terso for the children, present and ready.
Okay, tell me how Ms. Vasquez is doing in services.
So Megan has not made much progress in the past month. We did have a family group conference on Friday, and it was decided that the children would remain with the father. He has help from his mom, so paternal grandma, and the kids are taken care of. We don't have any concerns with the kids or anything like that. The father did yesterday apply for assistance with the Attorney General's office, so he's getting that started to get primary custody of the kids.
Okay, Ms. Murray.
Your Honor, we were all part of that meeting. It was an open discussion. I believe that my client is on board, with the father going through the AG and keeping possession of the children.
All right, Mr. Tyree, what does the department want me to do with this case?
Your Honor, the department's ready to dismiss this case. We don't feel like we're getting anywhere in the case, and I'll be filing a notice of non-suit with you.
Okay, I'll sign an order of dismissal. No more hearings. Anything else? The department
No,
versus
ma'am.
Nicholas. Will be adjourned. Thank you. We have the parties identified.
Your Honor, Jim Tyree for the department, along with Chelsea Vasquez.
Lindsay Murray on behalf of the father.
Cynthia Terso on behalf of the children.
Okay, tell me about Miss Medellin. Is she participating in services this month?
Yes, ma'am. She actually just completed her services as well. She's been attending services with Central Plains since November of last year, and she continues to attend counseling there. She's taking her medication like she's supposed to, and she just finished up parenting. So she's finished with the services that were ordered.
Okay, have we talked to the therapist? Do we feel like she has made progress?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Have we had any sort of domestic violence concerns since November?
No. No. No, ma'am.
Is she in any sort of relationship right now that we might be concerned about at all?
No.
Okay. And how are the kids doing?
They're doing very well. Nicole has had some issues with them not sleeping like they should, but she's getting them on a sleep schedule, and they have been doing a lot better with that. So no concerns with them.
Ms. Terso, any concerns regarding the kids?
No, Your Honor, not at this time.
All right, Ms. Murray, anything to add on behalf of Nicole?
And I apologize. I actually said father. It's actually mother. No, she's worked really hard. I think she has addressed everything. At this point, we would ask that the department be dismissed.
Mr. Tyree?
Your Honor, we're in agreement with that. I was going to say I'll be filing a notice of non-suit in this case as well.
All right, very good. Good job, Ms. Medellin. I'm very proud of you for doing the services and working on the issues that you needed to work on. Sounds like it was all successful, so I will dismiss the case.
Thank you.
Will be adjourned. Thank you all, Cassandra Gonzalez and Marquise Perkins. Let me have the parties identified.
Your Honor, Jim Tyree for the department, along with Pamela Pierce.
Jim Shaw representing the mother.
Lindsay Murray representing the father.
Cynthia Terso for the children.
Okay, tell me how the parents are doing in services.
They are doing very well. Cassandra has completed her individual counseling. Her therapist said that she did very well and was ready to move on to the couples counseling. Marquise has been working with Richard Gatlin, and Richard did not have as open of a schedule as Melissa did. So Marquise has not quite finished up with his individual. Melissa Lawson has agreed to do the couples counseling, and Cassandra is going to be getting that scheduled. And then, of course, they did at the last hearing had already completed the parenting classes and are showing a great improvement in their ability to communicate.
Okay. All that sounds very good. Mr. Shaw, anything to add on behalf of Ms. Gonzalez?
Well, she's headed down the road, Judge. I think she's doing a good job.
Ms. Murray?
I too think that my client is doing really well. I think they're doing everything they need to do at this point and really working the services.
Ms. Terso, any concerns regarding the children?
No, Your Honor, not at this time.
Okay. Ms. Gonzalez, Mr. Perkins, y'all talk to me about what you're learning in your services.
Honestly, I've learned just to communicate better. We sit down, we talk about the situation or whatever the case may be. And then after that, we just go for a walk and just talk about it and just spend more time with the kids actually, and just get out and about and just let them have fun.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes, ma'am. I'm learning to not get so upset at times, and to not take my frustrations from work and bring them home. And I'm learning to communicate better with my girlfriend and just be all around good father and good husband or boyfriend at the time.
Okay, it sounds like y'all are doing very well. For the second compliance review hearing, I think that that's very good progress. So good job.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
All right, we'll set another review hearing May 22nd at 9. Thank y'all. 01
Thank you.
versus Kerry Welch and Connor Elizondo. Let me have the parties identified.
Your Honor, Jim Tari for the department along with Wendy Kate.
Michelle, Attorney Latham.
All right, tell me how the parents are doing in services this month.
So Carrie and Connor actually completed the substance abuse education group yesterday. I did confirm that with Richard Gatlin this morning, and so they did complete that. They also have initiated their individual counseling. They have attended their first sessions. Carrie's, I believe, was on Tuesday morning, and Connor's was on Saturday. Richard Gatlin does request them to go ahead and complete individual counseling as long as they continue to attend them. He does do them via virtual, so that's going well. The only concern that he did bring up during the substance abuse group sessions was his concern with their switch from marijuana to THCA. That was where he was kind of, it's still, they're kind of going around the legal aspect of it. So that was where he was a little bit, I don't want to say upset, but he just had some worries about that. But that was the only concerns that he had talked to me about.
Ms. Welch, Mr. Elizondo, tell me what you guys learned in the substance abuse group.
Well, I learned that there is a crowd that could be attracted by marijuana. He brought out that people have been shot just buying weed and stuff like that. So we had really started thinking about it, and it came down to the criminal aspect in court. So we just changed what we were doing. We switched the criminal aspect of it.
Tell me why you think you need any sort of substance like that.
It's not that I need it. It's more like I talked to Richard Gatlin about it, and it's more that someone came in my house and is telling me to stop. It's more, he said, a defiance disorder.
Mr. Elizondo, what did you learn in substance abuse group?
Well, pretty much the same thing is that, there is a legal aspect that we were taking an unnecessary risk in. And, one of us could have went to jail or, something like that. And y'all were correct what would have happened with our kids at that point. So we took the switch and made it, found a legal form. It's not that we need it for anything in particular. It's no different than if, somebody was to drink a beer, at the end of the night. And I mean, that's not a criminal thing, and it's not, a out of control type thing. So our
Did you
kids are
learn
well
anything?
and very much loved and very, the very first thing that we think about every day, our very first priority. It's not like, we're bad parents or anything.
Well, talk to me about that. What did you learn about how marijuana affects your ability to parent?
Well, I think, it would affect my ability to parent if I was waking up first thing in the morning and that's the first thing I did, or if I was coming straight home from work and that's the first thing I did, or if it was a high priority. It's a leisurely thing. It's not like something that takes any sort of priority over my kids. My kids need anything and they get that. They're first, always. It's not something that I feel like has affected them, negatively. I don't be around them under the influence. There's been several times where kids have been sick and needed to go to the doctor, and we didn't miss a beat, and they were there, and it wasn't, we weren't high, and we weren't, it's our kids are our first priority. I'm not saying we're perfect by any means. We have our downfalls. We're definitely human, but we work really hard, both of us, and our kids are number one to us,
Okay, Okay, well, certainly, I think from the first hearing, I hear progress. You guys have definitely, I think, improved your outlook since our first hearing and second hearing and third hearing. So I'm happy with the progress. I hope that the therapy continues to help you folks. Mr. Shaw, any concerns with the kids?
No, Your Honor, I agree with the court that we were making a little bit of progress. The kids have always been doing well. They just were involved in a situation where they shouldn't have been, but maybe this is at least some progress.
Okay. I'm certainly happy that you're still engaged, certainly happy with the improvements that I hear from you so far. It's much better than where we were at the beginning of the case. So good job on that.
Thank you.
All right, we'll set another review hearing May the 22nd at 9. We have the parties identified. All right, thank you.
Your Honor, Jim Tyree for the department, along with Pamela Pierce.
Janet Clift Williams, I'm the attorney for the respondent mother, and I believe she is present, Your Honor, possibly on the iPhone.
Jim Shaw representing the father.
Cynthia Terso for the children.
And I would just ask her to confirm that is her. Joni.
Yes, I'm sorry. My Zoom is not wanting to connect.
Okay.
Okay, tell me how parents are doing in services this month.
Okay, so Joni came to me on April 2nd and said she was having some trouble. She had been drinking and needed help. I did help her get into a rehab on April 3rd. On April 11th, she left the rehab. She has since engaged with peer recovery here in Plainview, and she is confirmed to start at the outpatient with Serenity Center next week. She has been trying to contact her therapist, Melissa Lawson, but she has had trouble making contact. I am going to reach out to her today to get Joni rescheduled. She did go on April 22nd. She had contacted the crisis center regarding a protective order that was granted on April 5th. Chris has been attending his counseling with Richard Gatlin. I have confirmed that. He had contacted Richard about a drug program education thing that Richard does in person. Richard said Chris was supposed to start last Wednesday, but did not. But that he did say Chris could contact him to see about getting that going. I've not been able to complete a drug test with Chris. He did confirm with me that he was using Delta 9 gummies in order to help him sleep. He does understand that would cause a positive THC test. And he had started a BIP class. That was not part of our program. That was something that his previous attorney had asked him to do. He has since stopped doing that. He is disputing the need for the protective order. He did state that he did feel everything in the statement was untrue. But the protective order does also require a BIP class. We did, people that work for the department did see Joni and Chris together on April 18th in Chris's van. I received phone calls from 2 different coworkers who reported seeing them. We do need both Joni and Chris to go for drug testing.
Ms. Cliff Williams?
Yes, Ms. Pierce, Joni has tested negative on the last 2 drug tests. Is that correct?
No, that is not correct. She tested negative on March 22nd. And then we did one on April 1st, but it came back as invalid. And that is nothing that she would have done. The protein level was not able to be verified. And there's different reasons. She could have been dehydrated. Any reason, different bodily functions can cause that to happen. And then it was on April 2nd when she came up here and had been drinking.
Ms. Cliff Williams, anything else on behalf of your client?
I would just ask, when was she sent again after April the 2nd for another drug test?
She was in rehab up until the 12th, and I have not sent her. She was coming up here for her for visitation, so we were going to be asking today for her to go.
Okay, and what does Joni need to do to have Jaylee return to her care?
We need her to show that she can stay clean and sober after leaving rehab.
And
we also need to see that she is going to be protective of herself and her daughter. She and her daughter are both a part of that protective order.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor. That's all I have.
All right, Ms. Pierce, tell me, well, Mr. Shaw, anything on behalf of Mr. Kelly?
Judge, as indicated, that my client is working with Mr. Gatlin, which is the most important part of it. As far as the drug issue, I mean, I know this CBD stuff is going to make it positive, so I don't know how to get around that. If it's legal, I don't know how we can force people not to use it. As far as my client's concerned, he does dispute the protective order. I presented the parties with the document, I guess, from the mother indicating that she no longer wants the protective order. I believe there is a copy that's notarized and will be provided to the court. So at this point, my client is kind of locked out of having any contact with his child at this point, or children at this point. And so the only thing that he can really do is work with Mr. Gatlin on that service.
Where is the child?
Jaylee is with the maternal grandmother in a parental child safety placement. And Mr. Chris does have visitation here at the office.
Do we have any concerns or evidence at all suggesting that the parents are violating the safety plan or that the grandmother is violating the safety plan?
We do not have anything stating the grandmother is violating the safety plan. And as far as the safety plan, it just states that the baby will stay with the grandmother, and Joni's visits are here at the office, and so are Chris's.
Okay. It sounds like parents have more work to do as far as this part of the case. With respect to anything that the protective order requires, that's protective order that Judge Hugel signed. So parties would need to go back to that setting if they want anything changed, but it sounds like both parents are violating the protective order, which is not good. All right, I'm going to set another compliance review hearing May the 22nd at 9. Just like I said last month, Mr. Tyree let me know if we need to switch this over to a TMC case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll be adjourned. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Jim Tyree for the department, along with Lupe Perez.
Mr. Perales. Can you unmute yourself?
Your Honor, I would just want to make sure that Mr. Martinez can hear as well. He's on the Samsung SM, and I'm not sure that he knows to select Spanish. Perhaps we need a breakout room to explain that to him, or maybe Mr. Perales could explain that to him.
Your Honor, Jim
now.
Tyree for the department, along with Lupe Perez.
Alicia Walker present for the mother, Melissa Reyes, respondent.
Janet Clift Williams, I'm the attorney for the respondent father, Oscar Martinez, who is present, and also the respondent father, Noe Luis, who is present as well.
Belinda Ebling, attorney at law for the children, present and ready.
Gabby Gutierrez with CASA.
Mr. Tyree, you want to call your first witness?
Yes, ma'am. I call Corporal Sergio Martinez, Your Honor, and I just need to retrieve him from my waiting room. Is your license in good standing with the state and with your department?
Yes, sir.
Were you working for the Plainview Police Department back on April 5th of this year?
Yes, sir.
Did you receive a call out to 26?
Yes, sir.
What was your understanding of why you were being sent out to that address?
So I responded to 20 Texas. It was going to be a reference for a disturbance.
And when you got there, who did you come in contact with?
As soon as I arrived, I made contact with the male at the doorway of that residence. His name was Urbano Picas.
And did you learn anything about the situation from Mr. Picas?
Yes. So upon arrival, Mr. Picas informed me that he heard a knock at his door. He said he went to the door, opened the door, and observed Miss Reyes outside the doorway. He then informed me that Miss Reyes barged into the home looking for his cousin, Oscar Picas. Urbano informed me that Oscar is his cousin and also the father to Melissa's baby. He informed me that she went looking for him in his room. Mr. Urbano Picas informed me that he relayed to Ms. Reyes that Oscar was not at the residence and that she did not live there and wanted her out.
Was Ms. Reyes still at the house when you got there?
Yes.
Where did you find her?
So Ms. Reyes was located in a room pointed out by Mr. Picas. It was going to be Oscar's room. When we made contact at the room, the door was locked. Shortly after, some motion was heard in the room, and Urban was trying to open the door again, and at that point, it was unlocked.
And Ms. Reyes was in that room?
Yes, sir. So myself and another officer, Officer Ballard, made entry to that room. She was not located in the room, but within that room, there was a closet located. Ms. Reyes was then located in that closet along with her baby, Jasmine.
Do you know how old Jasmine is?
I believe she's 2 years old.
And was the closet locked?
No, it was not locked. It was just closed.
And was Ms. Reyes just standing in the closet?
She was crouched down along with hugging her baby in the closet.
Did you ask her to come out of the closet?
Yes.
Did she do so?
She didn't do so the first time, but eventually, after a couple times, she came out of the closet.
Was she holding the child?
Yes, she was holding the child.
What did you do after she got out of the closet?
So after she got out of the closet, I informed her why I was here. I asked her if she lived at this residence. She informed me that she did. Urbano informed me that she did not live there. So I provided her information to our dispatch. Our dispatch later informed me that she had 3 municipal warrants, one being for failure to maintain financial responsibility, another one for expired plates, and another one for defective stop lamps. I informed Ms. Reyes of these warrants. I asked her if she would leave to de-escalate the situation or she would be placed under arrest for her warrants.
Did she leave?
She did not leave. At that point, Ms. Reyes became discourteous, kind of loud, uncooperative. I informed her that I would be taking her for the warrants due to her behavior. At that point, she got up, placed her baby Jasmine onto the bed, got up and informed me, okay, take me to jail, and placed her hand behind her back. At this point, I approached Ms. Reyes and began to grab my handcuffs to place her under arrest, which at that point, Ms. Reyes lunged onto the bed, grabbing her baby Jasmine and hugged her tightly.
Did she stay on the bed after that?
She stayed on the bed. It was then when I approached her and I had to actually place my taser on her back and told her, hey, you're going to get tased if you do not let go of the baby. At that point, she let go of the baby and Officer Ballard grabbed the baby and took her away to a safe room. At that point, I was able to handcuff Ms. Reyes.
Did continue to be uncooperative?
She did continue to be uncooperative. She was handcuffed at this point. I wanted to isolate her in the room because I wasn't quite sure where Officer Ballard had went. I didn't know if he was still in the living room. They didn't want that contact to come about again. She started getting loud, started yelling for her baby, started yelling for Oscar, and just became loud and uncourteous.
Did you take her to your patrol unit?
Yes, I did take her to my patrol unit. During this time, she was uncooperative again. The uncooperative came from her not walking when she was told to walk. She became stiff in the body, dead weight. I had to encourage walking by placing my left arm under her right arm, pushing her forward to encourage walking.
Now, during this interaction, did you start to have a suspicion that she was under the influence of something?
At this point, I did, solely through the smell of an alcoholic beverage coming from her.
Did she seem to you to be acting, in a normal and a normal manner when you were dealing with her?
So definitely not a normal manner, especially after given the option of an opt-out to leave the residence and kind of de-escalate the situation.
Now, at the point in time when it became necessary to arrest her, is that when CPS was called?
Yes, CPS was called once she was in custody under arrest and there was no other person to release Jasmine to safely.
Did you take Ms. Reyes to the Hale County Jail?
I did take Ms. Reyes to the Hale County Jail.
And was she booked in there on her warrants?
She was booked in there for her 3 municipal warrants.
Were there any charges or have there been any charges filed as far as the disturbance or criminal trespass or anything like that?
No, sir.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Walker?
So you would agree that she was not arrested for any of her behavior at the scene?
Correct, for the 3 municipal warrants.
And if you felt under the influence, could have you charged her with public intoxication or something else?
Well, at that point, she was at a home. It was unsure if it was her home or not, and she was inside a residence. That was unknown if it was hers or not.
But y'all did not charge her with any alcohol or drug offense, correct?
No.
And you don't know what happened between herself and Oscar, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Cliff Williams?
And neither one of my clients were present. Mr. Oscar Martinez, who is present in the courtroom, was not there that day, correct?
Correct. He was not.
And also, Mr. Noe Luis was not present either.
No.
Correct?
Correct.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Eveline?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Tyree?
Did you receive any indication that Mr. Martinez had been there before you got there?
Objection calls for hearsay.
You might rephrase, Mr. Tyree.
During your time at the residence, your interaction with parties, did you notice anything that indicated that Mr. Martinez had been there before you got there? As far as immediately before you got there?
No indication immediately.
When you got Ms. Reyes's information to arrest her and to book her in, did she did that information indicate that she resided at the address?
No, she had another address that was on Date Street. Not the address 2603.
That's the witness.
Walker?
Nothing further.
Ms. Cliff Williams?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Eveline?
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Any objection to Corporal Martinez being free to go?
No objection.
Your Honor.
All right, you're free
No
to go.
objection.
You're free to go, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Your Honor, I call Wendy Kate.
Ms. Kate?
Ms. Kate, are you a family-based services worker for the Department of Family and Protective Services?
Yes, I am.
And have you recently had a family-based case with Melissa Reyes?
Yes, sir.
When did you open your case?
I believe it was March 6th when I met with Melissa the first time.
What was the reason for opening a family-based case with Ms. Reyes?
She had an investigation called in on her due to concerns of physical abuse against Gabi. She had bruises on her, and so they wanted to refer it over to family base, and she had a previous case where the kids were removed.
Prior to the removal of these children on April 5th, had you set up and had Ms. Reyes started any of her services?
She had not started anything. I know that she had been in contact with Central Plain Center. I did request all those records. So she had been attending Central Plain Center. And as far as I can see, from when I requested records, her last visit was in February. But I did send in a referral over to FAYS through Catholic Charities to get her some behavioral skills training for the kids. And then I did set her up with in-home parenting that is provided through the department through Shalita Tolson. And Shalita actually made contact with her via phone and tried to initiate that service the morning before the children were removed. And I did do a family plan of services with her. I did go over it with her on the 25th of March. And so she did have a copy of it as well, of what services were going to be asked of her.
Were you aware that her children had been removed November of 2023?
Yes, I was told about that.
And then were you aware that the department had actually not gotten temporary managing conservatorship at that point through an agreement of the parties?
Yes.
Were the outcry that led to the opening of your case, was that different than the November 2023 incident, or was the same?
I can't tell you exactly the reason why the kids were removed during that previous investigation, so I'm not super sure, but I was told about them being removed.
Do you know when the outcry that led to your case was made?
It was made in February of this year.
And so I guess the bottom line is your current family-based case was new enough that no services were actually started or engaged in.
Correct. And I'm sorry, I just realized I did remember the reason for the involvement. For the other case, they were actually at a safe home, if I'm not mistaken. And there was concerns of Melissa physically abusing the children or excessive disciplining the children.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Walker?
Miss Kate, did I understand right that she didn't have her family plan of service until March 25th?
We had already talked about the services when I first met with her on the 6th. I did send her text messages of who to contact during that time. The actual plan of service, I wrote it up and we went out. I went out with her and I went over it and we signed it at that point. But I did provide her with the information on the 6th, both in person and via text.
And so CPS actually decided to send this case to FBSS services in March of 2024, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And she was arrested. You've heard the officer testify ultimately for traffic tickets, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any reason she can't resume her services now that she's out of jail with FBSS?
There was a lot of concerns when she had the children there, and that I did talk with investigations once the children were removed. The 2 times that I did visit her in person, she told me to take her kids. She said it numerous times during the visits. Just take them. I don't want them. I'm frustrated with them. Every time I talk to her, we talk about it. It kind of got down to her not taking her medication for depression. She wasn't seeking counseling the way she was supposed to be doing through Central Plains Center, which they had told her to do back in January. So there's some still concerns that weren't really being addressed by her.
And so these concerns you've just mentioned, you knew about them prior to the arrest, correct?
Yes, when she talked to me about them.
Okay. But CPS and FBSS hadn't taken any action to remove the kids or anything like that prior to the arrest, correct?
No. When I would talk to her about them, she would kind of come down. She'd be very upset, angry, yelling in Spanish and English. And then she would come down and talk to me about it. She stressed a lot about financial issues, that she didn't have any way to pay the bills. She said she would put up with domestic violence from Oscar, even though he wasn't there. Every time I talked to her, she said he was never there. Both times, that I talked to her in person, he was not there. She put up with it so he would pay her bills.
But up until the arrest for traffic tickets, CPS's position was she was to work services in FBSS, correct?
We can try to get her to, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so some of these issues about bills and dealing with domestic violence, those are things that FBSS services attempt to address, correct?
We can't she was trying to get a job, and I believe she did start actually working at Oswald's, but she has a felony charge. So there's only so much that jobs availability for her. She was provided services through me because I gave her the information for WorkSource and through Central Plains Center since October.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Ms. Kate.
So yes, I will slow down.
But finding jobs, working on budgets, stuff like that, I understand there's limited resources, but that's part of some of the services that families engage in with FBSS, correct?
Yes, but we can't make money up here for her to be able to pay her bills. And if she's not able to make ends meet when it comes to that, it's kind of hard to, I know that's an added stress on top of everything. And that was one of the biggest things that she talked about, that and her depression. She does have history of trying to commit suicide. Her most recent one was in December.
So would you agree when you're saying that you can't make money up here, that poverty is a primary reason for the issues going on?
I wouldn't say that. I feel like there's a lot of mental health going on with her. I think it's a compilation of everything.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Cliff Williams.
Yes, Miss Kate, you talked about some services that you requested. Exactly what services were you requesting Mom to do?
Let me pull them up for you. I can actually tell you. I did give her the information for the work source solutions of South Plains, just so that way she can get back on her feet, see what she can look for as far as job wise. And then I did set her up with the Catholic Charities, which is for the FACE program, the Family and Youth program for the behavioral skills training for the kids and for herself. And then parenting program, which is the in-home parenting that I offered her that somebody at the department does work with her. I did talk to her about maintaining her progress and her appointments at Central Plains Center. Again, I pulled those records, so I do have that her last attending was in February. Of course, maintain drug and alcohol-free lifestyle, abstaining from the use of alcohol and any illegal substances. She made several comments to Central Plains Center and to me that she did struggle with it, both of them in the past. Intimate partner violence. We did ask her to participate in the Changes program at Crisis Center because she did admit that she was the aggressor in a lot of the situations between her and Oscar, and I guess with Noe as well. And then during my visit with her, she had talked about Gabi needing an appointment that she had set up with a PCP, referred her over to a psychiatrist. And so I did tell her, she couldn't tell me the date. I believe it was somewhere at the beginning of May is what she told me. But we did talk about referring Gabriella, over to Central Plains Center to get her evaluated as well, to see if there's anything they can help her with. And that's what I have.
And out of the services that you requested her to do, what services did she start?
She was already attending Central Plains Center prior to me getting involved. So she was continuing to do that. The only service that was sort of initiated, but it didn't completely get fully initiated, was parenting and home parenting with Shalita. And Shalita did make contact with her make phone contact with her earlier in the week. And then Thursday, the morning the kids were removed, she made an attempt to contact her at the house. And she wasn't there. There was another gentleman who we do not know who it was there caring for Jasmine in the home. And they knocked and they didn't know who he was. He didn't speak any English, and Shalita does not speak Spanish. So she just asked, and he said that she was at work.
Okay. Where are the children currently residing? Are they in a family placement, or are they in foster care?
From my understanding, they're in foster care. The two older ones are in one foster home, and the younger one is in a different one.
And then you stated that Mom had a felony charge. Is it a charge or a conviction?
It's a charge from my understanding from her. I've heard several different stories from her, and then of course from past documentation of her telling other people from Central Plains, and then of course from investigations. She told me she had a felony charge for assaulting Noe, the dad to her two older children, Noe's girlfriend. She told me that's what she had a felony charge for. But in previous other documentation, and then what she's also told Central Plains, is it was from stealing money from an account.
And then have you had an opportunity to speak with either one of my clients?
No, I have not. When I went to go reach out to Noe, I found out he was in jail. And then Oscar, I had not had any contact with him yet.
All right. Okay, I'll pass this witness, Your Honor.
Miss Ebony.
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Kate, did you have opportunity to see the children when the referral came in February and March?
Yes, or I met with the youngest, Jasmine, when I first met with Melissa on the 6th. Gabby was actually in New Mexico with Noe, and that's where there was plans for him to continue to have her over there. And the week of spring break, I got a phone call from Melissa saying that she was sending Kimberly over to New Mexico with the dad too, and that she would be bringing both of them back that weekend. So on Monday, March 19th, I got a phone call and a text message from Melissa saying that both of the kids were here. And so I set Gabi up with daycare. Jasmine was already in daycare and Kimberly was in school. So I was able to meet with all three children on March 25th.
And what were your observations about their parents' condition, so forth?
So the first time when I met Jasmine, there was somebody there putting in some what is it called, internet, and so mom had just been mopping, and so she had Jasmine in a playpen. She appeared to be cared for. She did have like a runny nose. It appeared she had been kind of sick. She had a onesie on. Mom changed her. She didn't have any marks or bruises on her when I observed her. She appeared appropriate, with mom. That was the first visit. The second visit that I had on March 25th with all three children, that was one of when I first walked in, that's when Melissa was telling me, just take my kids in Spanish. She was telling me, take my kids. I'm tired of them. I don't want them anymore. I'm overwhelmed. I can't take care of them. And so when I kept talking to her about it is when she started to tell me, like, they got caught stealing. When I was walking into the home, Gabi was coming out of the room crying. She didn't have a shirt on and she only had shorts on, and she was crying really hard. And so her mom yelled at her and said, "Did you find the remote?" And she shook her head and she started crying and she walked back into the room. Kimberly came out. She wasn't crying. Mom went back into the kitchen and I spoke with Kimberly alone in the living room, and she said she was looking for the remote and her mom was mad and upset. I asked her if she had any marks or bruises. She said that she did not. I talked to her for a good 5 minutes because mom was in the kitchen. I think she was getting stuff situated for Jasmine. And that was our conversation with her. And then after a little bit, mom was upset about other things, started yelling at Kimberly. I kind of stepped in and I talked to her and I said, hey, talked about, jobs, because she was talking about money. So I talked about that. And then Jasmine was there and she was, Jasmine was appropriate. She had really good, one-on-one with Jasmine. It was kind of hot and cold during the visit, and then close to the end, the girls came around again a little bit more, and they were sitting with her and talking with, hugging her, and she was like, "I love my kids. I'm just frustrated with them. I'm upset with them. I'm overwhelmed," over and over and over again.
Was there anything about their physical condition, like hair, cleanliness, that sort of thing?
No, none that I could see.
And when is the last time you saw the girls?
It was that day, March 25th. I believe Loopy may have seen her. She saw them since then, since she was the one who removed.
As a witness.
Barry.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Kate, what are Gabriella and Kimberly's ages?
I believe they're 4 and 5, maybe 4 and 6.
Ms. Reyes, telling you just take my kids, did that only occur on the March 25th visit, or did it occur at the one before as well?
It occurred at the one before too. And in reading the history of it, she says it every time that she speaks to a caseworker.
Was there anything, the first visit, was there anything that seemed to precipitate that statement?
Just her saying that she was overwhelmed, if that's what you're asking. Just saying she was very overwhelmed. She would talk about how she has to smoke her. She said at the time it was wax, but later on when talking to her about it, she said it was like the THCA in order to keep her nerves down. But she said she couldn't handle them, couldn't take care of them financially, couldn't provide them anything. She had to put up with things with Oscar. And so I think all of that combined.
March 25th visit, it sounded to me like you knocked on the door and that's what you got met with, was to take my kids. Is that correct?
That is exactly how it happened.
Ms. Walker asked you earlier about the main factors that have led to the need for the department's involvement in this family, and she asked about poverty, but you also said you thought there were some mental health contributors in that. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Mom admitted that she isn't taking her medication the way she should be. According to her Central Plains records, she's supposed to be going to see a counselor, Ashley McElroy, if I'm not mistaken, and she has not done that. That was actually told her to. She was actually told to do that and referred over to her right after that attempt in December.
Is there anything else you have observed when you've interacted with Ms. Reyes that in that there's some mental health components to this case.
She's erratic when it comes to talking. She doesn't, every time I would talk to her, she would talk about something else. It was really hard to get her to stay focused on something. And I did see she has a diagnosis for ADHD. But it was very hard to get her to do anything as far as like talking about stuff, getting her focused on things, anything. Like I tell her, hey, well, you can do this, and she would come up with a reason why she couldn't do it.
Do you know what her diagnosis has been with Central Plains?
So as far as what I've read, she was diagnosed with ADHD. She was diagnosed with depression, the alcohol dependency one, and then the marijuana one, like the dependency on it, and I believe anxiety. Oh, and I'm sorry, post traumatic stress disorder.
Is it your understanding that THCA is legal to buy it over the counter in the state of Texas?
Yes, sir.
When she told you that she was using wax, what did you understand that to mean?
From my understanding of it, and from when she told me it was like wax that you go get at a like the wax you get from New Mexico. She does state that she has a medical marijuana license from New Mexico due to some physical disabilities that she has. And so when I talked to her about it, I was like, here in Texas, we can't honor that, obviously. And so that was something I brought up with her, and that's when she brought up that she was using THCA here. When she had the money, she would try to purchase it.
So wax is some sort of distillation of chemicals from marijuana. Is that your understanding?
Yes, sir.
Miss Kate, are you aware that my client took a drug test in the last few weeks?
Yes, I am.
Do you know the results of that drug test?
No, I do not.
Would you agree that if that, hair follicle drug test was negative, we don't have a drug issue here?
Your Honor, I object to the lack of a predicate on that question.
Staying.
I apologize. Can I restate my last question?
Sure.
Okay. Would you agree if she has a negative drug test on file, a hair follicle, we don't really have a drug issue in this case?
I would say that she still struggles with it, and she's talked about her using for a really long time. So I feel like that would still be a concern, that she might relapse.
Is a concern enough to remove children from a mother?
Concern like the
Your
concern.
Honor, I object. That calls for a legal conclusion.
Sustain.
You talked a lot about her feeling overwhelmed, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And part of FBSS services, y'all might try and connect her with family members and other people that could maybe build a support system for mom, right?
Correct.
And that's something that FBSS, can't do for her, but would try and facilitate and help her make, correct?
Yes, and I did have discussions with her about it, and she repeatedly said she had no one. She did give me one person that was in Friona, but she says she doesn't talk to them anymore because of the domestic violence between her and Oscar. She would not give me any other people. She said she was there alone. She had no one. Constantly, that's what she told me.
Would you be surprised if her dad sold all of his worldly belongings in Mexico and has made plans to come live with Melissa in Plainview to help give her some support?
I would be surprised, and I think that might be a good thing, but I don't know. We don't know anything about him either, nor has she brought him up as a support.
And if that's an option and CPS has some time to investigate him, is that something FBSS could work on with Melissa with having a support in the home?
I think that's something we'd have to look into.
Okay. If he passes criminal background and passes CPS background and he's appropriate for the kids, would that be something FBSS can monitor and try and help her build that support system with that person?
So I've never had to do a background check on anybody in Mexico, so I can't say that that is something that we can even do. But again, I couldn't say yes or no on that.
And CPS can't deny support system or parent or here a grandparent just based on their citizenship, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Has Miss Reyes ever expressed to you that she's very scared of CPS?
Never.
Okay. Would you agree that if somebody's scared about a situation, they might act erratic?
Check that calls for speculation, Your Honor.
Overrule.
When I met with her, I don't want to say, I don't know. When I approach a family, it's different coming from investigations and coming from investigations. So I don't know how it was whenever she met with investigations, but I know with me, when she met with me, it was erratic, more like mental health. Couldn't really.
But you're not a mental health professional, correct?
Correct, I'm not.
Okay. So you can't say whether her erratic behavior was from mental health or if it was from fear, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Cliff Williams.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Emily.
Just briefly, Your Honor, Ms. Kate, you made reference to the fact in the service plan that you had in the FBSS case that she was supposed to get an evaluation done for Gabriella.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you talk more about the reasons for why that was to be done?
She talked a lot about how Gabriella's behaviors were very, like she didn't listen. She said she had a hard time controlling her. She said that she did go for herself whenever she took herself to the Central Plains Center, that somebody told her, I think maybe Gabby has ADHD, just the way she was acting there. And so when she went to get her a checkup at her PCP to get her enrolled in daycare, the PCP told her, this is what Melissa's telling me, so I don't know what is true or what's not on it, but she said the PCP did schedule her for a
objection. Hearsay.
Sustain.
Did Melissa ever follow through with getting an evaluation for Gabrielle?
No.
And she knew where to go and who to contact to get that set up?
Yes, ma'am.
Pass the witness.
Retired.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Walker.
What is the time frame from when y'all identified an evaluation for the child, and how long of a period passed between that time period and when she was arrested?
I'm not sure I understand. Can you repeat that?
So you said that y'all identified that she needed to get an evaluation for the child, correct?
So I told, because she brought it up to me, and so I told her on March 6th when I first met with her that that's what we needed to do, or she needed to do.
So as of March 6th, y'all had identified a need for an evaluation.
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware of wait lists and other things of that nature to get these types of evaluations?
Yeah, Central Plains is about a week and a half once you call them.
Okay. And so she was arrested early April?
Yes.
Correct. Okay. So her not getting this evaluation done, she didn't really have a whole lot of time before CPS had already removed the kids, correct?
There was 4 weeks in between from when the kids were moved to when I first met with her. And she had already talked about this. So it was something, she was aware of Central Plains Center. She attended there. She knew. And she was told this about her daughter. So it could have been something that she could have done on her own without us telling her to.
And FBSS doesn't expect parents to get all their services done in a 4-week period, do they?
I agree. We do not.
I pass the witness.
Cliff Williams.
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Evelyn.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Retired.
No further questions.
Okay. Any objection to me, Ms. Kate, being free to go?
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, you're free to go, Ms. Kate. Thank you. Mr. Tyree, your next witness.
Your Honor, I call Lupe Perez, and have you been the investigator regarding this most recent removal of these 3 children?
Correct.
Were you also the investigator back in November of 2023?
No, sir, I was not.
Have you reviewed those records?
Yes, sir. I've reviewed history.
Now, when did you become involved in this investigation for this particular review?
On April 4th.
What intake did the department receive on April 4th?
I was called by law enforcement for immediate call out. Melissa was being arrested and there was no one to release the children to.
What did you do first after you got the intake?
I headed to the residence where law enforcement was at.
Jasmine's still there at the residence?
Yes, she was with one of the officers and Melissa had already been taken to the jail.
Did you go to see Ms. Reyes at the jail?
Yes, I did later that night.
Well, what did you do? What did you do in the meantime before you went to see Ms. Reyes at the jail?
I got Jasmine. I came to the office and proceeded to look at previous cases so I could try to contact Oscar and Noe. I attempted for several hours and neither one ever responded to me.
How did you try to contact the two fathers that night?
Just by telephone.
After that, did you go to the jail?
Yes, I waited for another on-call worker from Lubbock to make their way so that she could stay behind with Jasmine so that I could go to the police department or to the jail to interview Melissa.
Were you able to speak with Ms. Reyes that night?
Yes, yes, I was.
What did she have to say, first of all, about the incident that led to her arrest?
She was really emotional. She was upset, of course. I just informed her that we were trying to get a hold of the fathers, any information that she could provide, anyone else that she believed we could release the children to. And I asked her where her other two daughters were because we only had Jasmine and not the two older girls. So she provided a friend by the name of Rachel. She provided her phone number, her name, and then she informed me who had the girls.
And who did have the other girls at that point?
Her name was Rebecca Borrego, and it was a friend of hers.
Now, did you ask her about why she went to the West 19th home that evening?
Yes, she said that her and Oscar had been texting throughout the day and that Oscar had told her to go to the home and wait for her in his bedroom the way she always does.
You said she was very emotional. Was there anything else that stood out to you about her behavior when you were speaking with her at the jail?
She would get upset every once in a while. She would speak both English and Spanish. She yelled a few times, but I mean, she was just clearly upset. She stated that law enforcement didn't know the difference between her being intoxicated and being heartbroken.
Now, when you had, before you went to the jail to visit with her, had you looked at any of the history that the department has with her and Oscar Martinez?
Briefly. I was more looking for contact information.
What did she tell you, if anything, about her relationship with Mr. Martinez when you spoke to her at the jail?
She said that they were still in a relationship.
At some point when you looked at the November removal records, November 2023, did you were you able to see where she was living when the intake came in for the November 2023?
I didn't look at the address, no, but
was she living in some sort of institutional setting when the intake first came in?
I believe she was in a safe home.
And does the department's record for that case reflect why she was staying at the safe home?
Yes, there was concerns with her not having, I believe it was electricity or heat or something of that nature.
You made any allegations about Mr. Martinez committing domestic violence toward her?
That was in
objection. It calls for hearsay.
Mr. Tower, you're asking about the mom's statements to her? Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Overruled. Go ahead.
She did mention domestic violence with Oscar, yes.
Did she tell you the reason she was going to try to find Oscar that evening?
She said that she was overwhelmed and that is where she takes her break. He's the one that helps her get relief, basically.
When you spoke with her at the jail, were you able to determine whether she had any other support system available to her?
She only mentioned one other friend. I did ask her about her parents, and she did tell me that both her mom and her father were deceased. She mentioned having a sister in Clovis, but she said she does not have a good relationship with her. She just told us to keep, trying to contact Noe and Oscar for Jasmine.
Now, you said earlier she gave you the number for a Rachel friend.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to make contact with that person?
No, we called her several times that night and she never answered or reached back out.
Messages for her?
I'm sorry?
Did you leave messages for her?
Yes, we left a voice message.
And then you mentioned that the person that had the children was Rebecca Borrego. Is that right?
Correct.
Did you make contact with Ms. Borrego during this?
Yes. After I left the jail, I went to Rebecca's home where she was pretty much waiting for me to pick up the girls.
What sort of relationship did Ms. Borrego have with Ms. Reyes?
Ms. Borrego stated that she met her at Allsips, where Rebecca also works. She said that Rebecca had been going a few times trying to like get employment, and I think they just hit it off and became friends.
Is Ms. Borrego willing or able to be even a temporary placement for the children at that point in time?
No, sir, she's not. She also has history with the department, and it would not have been appropriate. But she also stated that she was trying to get her own life together, and just recently, moved back in with her children, and was trying to focus on her sobriety and her own children.
Did you take the children into the department's custody? Was this Sunday morning by now?
It would have been Friday morning. Yes, sir. I brought both of the
Friday morning,
girls back to the office where we continued to just kind of figure out if we could find someone, or if hoping that the fathers would eventually call us back, but they never did. And after a few hours, that's when we took custody of the girls.
Where are the girls currently placed?
2 of the girls are in Shallow Water and 1 is in Lubbock.
Are those in foster homes?
Yes.
Going back to the November removal, after that case was filed and we came to court for the adversary hearing, what was the end result of that?
All 3 of the children were released to Noe to go back to Clovis, New Mexico.
And was that because of his status as a non-offending parent at the time?
Correct.
In the November 2023 case, had one or more of the children made outcries of physical abuse?
Yes.
Can you summarize those outcries?
One of the girls made an outcry that her mom, I believed, had I think she had slapped her. So I think there was also a marking from that.
Since the girls have been in foster care this time around, have any of them made outcries of other physical abuse by Ms. Reyes?
Yes, they have as well.
Which girls?
Kimberly.
Has Kimberly been forensically interviewed?
Yes, they have both been interviewed.
When did that occur?
On Friday, April 12th.
Did Kimberly continue to make an outcry when she was interviewed?
Yes, she made an outcry of ongoing domestic violence and excessive discipline, physical abuse.
Did she describe what did she say that you're classifying as excessive discipline?
That her mom would hit her on the mouth and the nose, causing her to bleed.
Did you give a time frame for those events?
She did not.
Gabriella make any outcry in the interview?
Yes, she did, about mom also slapping her.
As far as the domestic violence, what did Kimberly report about that?
Ongoing domestic violence with Oscar, which in the interview, she did refer to him as Scadine, which I believe that's his nickname as well.
And was that domestic violence between Mr. Martinez and Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Is the department today asking the court to appoint the department as the temporary managing conservator of these children?
Yes, we are.
Do you believe that the department has made reasonable efforts to prevent the need for removal?
Yes, I do believe so.
And what would you say those efforts have been?
She was currently engaged in services. The department has been trying to offer her resources. She has not followed through in the previous cases and also in the current case. She also shows a pattern of being non-compliant and continues to put the children in an environment above their maturity level.
Do you believe that this is a case that would be suitable for either an order to participate or the Texas Family First program?
I think no, I don't think it would be suitable.
Why do you think that?
Because she continues to show a pattern of being non-compliant. This is the second time that law enforcement has been involved where they have to take the children physically away from her. I don't believe that we can ensure the safety of the children at this time.
Has Ms. Reyes ever made any statements to you about just take my children?
Not to me, no, sir.
Did you notice that occurring in other at other times when the department's been involved with her, besides what Ms. Kate has talked about?
Yes, sir. In the previous case, she also mentioned it to the investigator.
And by previous case, do you mean the November 2023 case?
Yes.
Obviously, Mr. Luis is incarcerated, so he's not a viable placement option. Is Mr. Martinez a viable option?
I believe after DNA is completed, I mean, he has mentioned that he does want to provide and fight for her if he is the father. But I will also say we have had another gentleman also reach out to us stating that he is the father of Jasmine.
That's my next question. Who is this other person that's a possible father to Jasmine?
This is Marvin.
Where does Mr. Hernandez live?
He is, I believe, in Rhode Island now.
Did he contact you?
Yes, he contacted the department.
Now, had he been identified to you before he contacted you?
I read about him in the previous case, but I didn't have any contact information for him.
And have you sent me his information so that we can get him pleaded into this case?
Yes.
Is it your understanding that he also wants a paternity test?
Correct. He also believes that he is the father.
Are there any alternative candidates for being the father of Kimberly or Gabriella?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Do you believe that giving the department temporary managing conservatorship would be in the girl's best interest?
Yes, I do.
And do you also believe that naming the parents as temporary possessory conservators would be in their best interest?
Yes.
Why do you think that?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Why do you think those things would be in the girl's best interest?
So because Melissa needs to address her ongoing mental health, she needs to show the department that she is taking her medication. She hasn't addressed her the reason why she's using the marijuana, just her lack of follow through.
I'll pass the witness.
Walker?
Ms. Perez, has she participated recently in a drug test?
Yes, she did.
Do y'all have those results available?
Yes, ma'am.
What are those results?
They were negative dilute.
When you saw Jasmine on the day of removal, did she have any marks or bruises on her?
Jasmine wasn't observed with any.
And on the day of removal, you would agree that my client participated with you and told you the locations of the kids with Rebecca, correct?
She did.
And so that's a sign of compliance, right?
Yes.
Okay. And even with these prior cases and issues that you talked about that date back to November, even still in March, CPS made the decision to send Miss Reyes to FBSS services, right?
Correct.
And in that CAC interview, the kids have made outcries, but y'all are unable to say if these are new issues or old issues with the November case, correct?
Dates were not said by the girls.
And so in March, even with the previous outcry of physical abuse, the department was willing to allow her to work services in March and April, correct?
Correct. They were going to offer her some resources.
Okay. And then you said she has a pattern of not complying. Well, she only had about a month, correct?
Correct.
And we don't, parents don't usually finish services or even really get going within that first couple of weeks when things are getting set, correct?
It takes a little bit.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Cliff Williams,
No questions for this witness.
Ms. Evelyn,
Yes, Ms. Perez, who took the children to the foster homes?
I'm a worker from St. Francis.
Okay, so you were not involved in that process?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever see the other two girls, Kimberly and Gabriella?
I did. I did see them.
And when did you see them?
Around midnight, Thursday, April the 4th, when I picked them up from Miss Borrego's home.
And what were your observations about them?
At the time when I picked them up, both of the girls were asleep. I carried them to the vehicle where I brought them to the office and we put them on some sofas. They stayed asleep the entire time.
And so how long did they stay there?
They were here for about 6 hours.
And where did they go from there?
To the St. Francis office in Lubbock.
So that was transporting them from Plainview to Lubbock?
Yes, the on-call worker from Family-Based Services that came from Lubbock took them back to Lubbock to the St. Francis office.
Okay, and so you didn't see them after that?
No, ma'am.
Pass the witness.
Mr. Tyree,
No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Walker,
Nothing further.
Ms. Cliff Williams.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. Any objection to Ms. Perez being free to go?
No objection.
No objection.
Your Honor, well, I mean, I would like her to stay on Zoom, but just in case. So,
Might hang out for just a bit, Ms. Perez. Let's take about a 10-minute break. We'll resume at 12:35. Cliff Williams is your client. Tell me what your clients want.
Your Honor, both of my clients want a DNA test to establish whether or not they're the fathers of any of these children.
Are either one of them contesting TMC to the department?
And Your Honor, I don't know that my client, Mr. Luis, is in a position to contest it. I have no direction from my client, Mr. Martinez, at this point right now.
Okay. All right, Ms. Walker, we'll give your client a couple more minutes, but we need to get started. I know Mr. Tyree has another hearing. Mr. Tyree, when do you need to leave for that hearing?
Your Honor, if I could just leave here, hopefully by 1:15, I have to get down the street to the Justice Center. It starts at 1:30.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I'm just curious, who is Galaxy A31 on our screen?
That's Marvin, the other guy that thinks he's dad.
Oh, okay.
Everybody is back. Mr. Tyree, you want to call your next witness?
Your Honor, I call Jasmine Debro. Ms. Debro, are you a permanency supervisor for St. Francis Ministries?
I am.
And does St. Francis provide casework and placement services to the Department of Family and Protective Services through a contract with the state of Texas?
Yes.
And are you the supervisor that has charge of the, I guess right now, the placement of Kimberly, Gabriella, and Jasmine in this case?
Yes.
Has since the children have been placed in foster care, has St. Francis facilitated visitation between them and Melissa Reyes?
Yes.
And who is the person that supervises and watches that visitation?
It's an FSW. Her name is Monica Thompson.
Is Ms. Thompson unavailable today because of a death in the family?
Yes.
Have you reviewed, well, when she observes visitation, does she make a report that you can see as far as how things have gone with the visitation?
Yes.
And have you reviewed her reports?
Yes, I have.
How many visitations with the children has Ms. Reyes had?
I believe it's 2 at this time.
Has there been any concerns noted with her interaction with the children?
Yes, at the end of the visit, there's concerns.
What were those?
Just that the children were having a hard time letting go. She was having a hard time letting go of the children. She had to be instructed to leave the area so that the girls can be returned to the foster homes.
Is there anything that has, during the visits, has Ms. Reyes said anything that is considered inappropriate to the children?
One of the children did bring up that she was sorry and she felt responsible for them being gone. And Ms. Reyes stated that she should have paid her tickets. So.
Did you ever, do you know which child that was?
Not off the top of my head. I'd have to look at the notes.
Did Ms. Reyes do anything to let the child know that there's nothing that, as far as the removal, that is in any way the child's fault?
I believe so. I think she just said it was her fault because she should have paid her tickets.
There been any behavioral problems or concerns with the girls after visitations?
Yes, I believe they're all a little harder.
Honor, this calls for hearsay of a foster parent. It's not here to testify.
Overruled for now. Well, let me change that. Sustained for now.
Has I'll just pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Walker?
So when the child said, "This is my fault," the mom actually took the blame for it. She didn't make the child feel like it was her fault in the notes.
That's my understanding.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Cliff Williams?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Eveline?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Tyree?
Excuse me, no further questions, Your Honor, and the petitioner rests.
All right, Ms. Walker?
I would call Miss Reyes. And are you the mother of the 3 kids we're here talking about?
Yes, I am.
So back when you were working FBSS services, did you have time to really engage with anything?
I think we lost her.
I'm going to call her and tell her to get on, but turn her video off. I'm wondering if she has like limited bandwidth for that.
No, sorry. I touched this and the sound goes off.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Walker, you might ask that again.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Ms. Reyes, when you doing services with FBSS back in March, did you have enough time to really start the things they'd asked you to do?
It was just complicated because Gabi would go back and forth with Noe. We didn't know what we were gonna do with her. Because
listen to my question very carefully, okay? Did you have enough time to start services like counseling?
My counseling has been through Crisis Center with Tommy.
So when is the last time you had contact with your counselor at the Crisis Center?
And the lady from Mitch, that was on it's in the notes. The date I went and asked for a voucher with her. I meet with her. She checks up on me. And that's the only counseling I get through Crisis Center. I've tried this even before. It's been about a year, and that's the only counseling I get with her.
Miss Reyes, you remember meeting with Miss Wendy Kate, right?
That lady is the caseworker? Well,
remember Miss Wendy?
Miss Walker, you're really cutting in and out. Can you ask that question again?
I pulled over to an area. Okay. Miss Reyes, do you recall Miss Wendy Kate?
The only Wendy I know is the lady that came here to see the house. And
okay,
that's the only lady I remember of Wendy.
And would you agree that she came and saw your house sometime in March?
Is with the second referral?
Yes.
Es que the second referrals, the people from Clovis closed it because there was nothing against it, so I didn't fight it with them.
At one point, did somebody from Texas, from CPS, give you a list of services to do, like counseling and stuff like that? Do you recall that?
She had me sign papers that over because I went myself to their office, and she had me sign some paperwork.
Do you agree that you only, between that time and when you were arrested, only a month had passed?
See, it wasn't that long. I was still going through the stuff here at the house and finding work.
Okay. If you would have had more time, do you feel that you could have gotten more things done before you were arrested?
It's because I don't know what time they're talking about. I see Crisis Center Tommy constantly, more than I see CPS. So I don't know what time they were trying to buy from. What time they needed. I mean, I thought. You're cutting in and out.
Ms. Reyes, does it confuse you, all the different people that are involved with CPS and all? Ms. Reyes,
yes.
Does it confuse you to figure out who all the different people are that had to be?
I remember them when I see them.
Is that why it's hard for you to recall who's?
Ms. Walker, it's really difficult to hear you.
Are you willing to work services?
There's nothing against me. That's not illegal to spank your kids, and I'm not in drugs. I know there's just.
Miss Reyes, hold on. Miss Reyes, hold on. Okay. I pulled over to a station I thought would allow me more internet access. I'm moving down the road. Okay. What recent arrangements have you made to help have some support at your house to help with the kids?
Well, my dad, he was around on and off, but he told me, I told him everything that had been going on, and he said, you know what, don't talk to them anymore because they're just gonna keep destroying your home. He said, I'm gonna sell everything I have in Mexico that I had for you over there because my mom, she's buried over there. His plan is to sell everything, bring it to the United States, and our plan is I don't want no men in my life no more. They took everything I wanted. I don't want no contact with this man, with my children, because they're no good. If they really wanted to pick up my daughters and not have CPS take them, they would have called. They would have answered.
Objection non-responsive.
Sustain.
Okay.
Okay. Miss Reyes, you're going to have to just answer the question I asked. Okay. You don't get to talk
I'm
about
sorry.
everything.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Do you deny that you have physically abused children?
I deny, not guilty.
Okay. And so let's go back to the question I just asked. Have you and your dad made plans for him to come stay with you in the United States?
Yes.
Okay. And when do you expect him to arrive?
Whenever you guys let him. He's illegal and he just wants to be safe, you know.
Okay. And are you asking the court to return the children to you, and you are willing to work services?
Yeah. Okay. No CPS and me and my kids. It's too much back and forth. No.
Okay. If you have to go to counseling, Miss Reyes, and do some stuff like that in order to have your kids with you, are you willing to do that?
I can do counseling on my own, but no CPS.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Tyree.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Cook Williams.
No questions, Your Honor. Oh, I do have one question. Yes, ma'am. Can you identify the man that is in the Galaxy A31 here on the screen?
Ms. Reyes. That question's for you. Can you unmute yourself? Sir, you in the Galaxy A31 box. Can you unmute yourself and tell us your name?
Marvin Hernandez.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, Ms. Cliff Williams?
I just had one more for Mom, if she can get her mute off.
Excuse me, not speaking English, not speak Spanish.
Okay. One more question for Mom. She's unmuted.
Okay, Ms. Reyes, is it possible that Mr. Hernandez, who is present today, Marvin Hernandez, is the father of Jasmine?
No. He took care.
Was there something else you were going to say?
He took care of me while I was pregnant. Right now, with everything that's going on between all of this, is just do a paternity test. It's okay.
I'll pass this witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Evelyn?
Ms. Reyes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm the attorney for your girls, okay?
Excuse me? I didn't hear you.
I'm the attorney for your girls.
Homeland's babies, yes.
Okay. Okay. Do you know why Gabby has bald spots on one side of her head?
I sent Alicia pictures of when they get in the bathroom and get the stuff. Don't say I have my section of the shower stuff. She got the nair. Kimberly, sometimes they shower together by themselves. Pero Kimberly, even she said, Mommy, Gabby has the nair. And then I got onto Gabby and I said, oh, eso no. Pero I promise you, it was nair. It wasn't me. I didn't take pictures of anything of that because I wasn't protecting myself from them. It's just they get into everything, and even Jasmine, I can fix her up and then she'll come and get the gel or cream, and she's getting it from Gabby.
Do you know why she had any scratches behind her ear?
Yes, I even showed Alicia the videos of when Gabby tells Kimberly, fight. Alicia.
And who is Alicia?
Alicia is Walker. She's my lawyer.
Okay,
She's
all right.
the only one that I
Okay.
think keep up with because all of these ladies, they come in here and it's not easy. It's too many mixes, too much she said, and they've been trying to take them. And you know what? I don't have nothing against me. That's why I wanted to take it to trial because no one's listening.
Do you know why she had a busted lip?
Gabriela no tenía un busted lip.
She didn't
did
have
not
one?
No,
Okay.
last time she was with me, she was clean and take her as whoever.
Okay,
They
and
could-
did you have the girls, did you have Gabrielle and Kimberly in school?
Kimberly, she's been going to school every day. I don't mess with her. Every morning we go out and sell burritos, and that's our gas money.
And what school was she going to?
Yeah, she goes right here in Central Plainview.
Okay, what's the name of the school?
Central Plainview Central Elementary School. Plainview Central Elementary School.
And what grade was she in?
She just started this year. You guys
So
took
she-
that too. So she's been back and forth, and I had to get onto the dad that I told him that she needed to be in school. So she's gone to La Casita. She's gone to Plainview, and now this time she's over there, and she's supposed to graduate in May. Pero they're supposed to be in May.
She's supposed to graduate from Central?
Yes.
We'll pass the witness.
Ms. Walker,
Nothing further.
Ms. Cliff Williams. Or, I'm sorry, yeah, Ms. Cliff Williams.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Tyree.
No further questions.
All right, Ms. Walker, next witness.
We would rest.
Ms. Cliff Williams.
We rest, Your Honor.
Ms. Eveline.
Rest, Your Honor.
A recommendation, Ms. Eveline.
Your Honor, I do believe there are concerns that warrant the court ordering that the girls stay in temporary conservatorship at this time while the fathers are identified as being fathers or not, and Ms. Reyes is given the opportunity to work her services and get stabilized.
Gossip.
Judge, we are also in favor of the department maintaining TMC or retaining TMC.
Okay. Do we know if we have any Indian heritage in the family?
Judge, I'm unaware of any claims to Indian heritage at this point.
Okay, I think Mom is shaking her head. Okay, let's try this again. Miss Reyes, can you unmute yourself? Miss Reyes, do you have any Indian heritage in your family?
We all do.
What tribe?
Their dads are from Guatemala and Mexico side.
Okay, but no Native American tribe.
Maya de Guatemala.
Okay. All right. Based on the evidence that I've heard, I am going to name the department the temporary managing conservator of all three children at this time. I'm going to maintain their current placement. Not going to order any child or medical support at this time. I will order paternity tests on both Mr. Martinez and Mr. Lewis. And I'll set this for a status hearing May 22nd at 9 a.m. Ms. Reyes, between now and then, you will get a worker from St. Francis who will talk to you about services you really need to participate in so that you can get your kids back. That plan of service will also be an order of this court that you need to follow to get your children returned. You need to understand, ma'am, that your rights as a mother, and also you, Mr. Lewis, if you are the father of the children in the case, both of you need to understand that your rights as parents are subject to being terminated or limited unless you can show me you can provide a safe home for the children. We'll talk about both of your plans of service on May the 22nd at 9. Make sure you both understand what you need to do to get your children returned. I think the first service you, Mr. Lewis, needs to do is just submit for that sample to get the paternity test done. And if you are the father of any of the children in the case, they will talk about your services that you need to do while you're incarcerated and upon your release, if you are released. Okay, anything else that we need to take up today?
We have nothing else, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Any concerns with the children? I heard a little bit of concerns in the questioning by Miss Eveline. Do we have a medical issue with Gabby that we need to be looking at?
Your Honor, I believe she does need some evaluation. She's, in my mind, when I saw her, she appeared to have some delays. And probably evaluations for both children would be in order. But as far as the care they're receiving, I have no concerns with either placement.
Okay.
Your Honor, on behalf of my client, I know that they're not together, and of course, she would like them to be placed together if possible.
Yes, let's be looking for a foster home that can take all 3 children. Ms. Walker, do we have any placement options? Any home studies that your client is requesting?
Not at this time, but if we get something, we'll contact St. Francis immediately.
Okay, and certainly Ms. Cliff Williams, if paternity tests come back on your fellows and they wish to put forth a placement option after that, let me know.
I will do that, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, status hearing May 22nd at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
I'm excused.
Yes, everybody can be excused. Thank you.